Let's read Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood because that was what she always wore. I love my Red Riding Hood. She lived in a creaky house in a creaky forest. Her mother kept bees and made honey. Her father was a woodcutter in the forest. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother gave her a pot of honey. "It's for your grandmother." Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother lived in a cottage on the edge of the forest. Little Red Riding Hood put on her Red Riding Hood and set off. She skipped along the path, singing a song about her Red Riding Hood. "Hello, Little Red Riding Hood," called her father. But someone else was watching Little Red Riding Hood too. A wolf. The wolf was hungry. "I'm fed up of eating bugs and berries," he moaned. "I want something bigger in my belly." As he watched Little Red Riding Hood, his tummy rumbled. He could have just gobbled her up, but the wolf loved making traps. "This will be my best trap ever." Quickly, he made a net. Then he rushed ahead and laid his trap. He hid behind a tree and waited. Little Red Riding Hood skipped closer. She skipped right over the trap. "Bother," the wolf mutters. He scampered from behind the tree and poked the trap with his paw. "Looks fine to me." The trap finally worked. "Bother," the wolf snarled. The wolf thought of a better trap. He dug a deep hole and covered it with sticks. Then he hid again. Little Red Riding Hood skipped closer. He skipped right over the hole. "Bother," the wolf cursed. He scurried from his hiding place and prodded the stick with a claw. "Bother," the wolf cried. The wolf was too tired to make another trap. "I'll just pounce on her and gobble her up," he decided. He dashed ahead and hit again. Little Red Riding Hood skipped closer. The wolf pounced and burst into the honey pot. Finally, Little Red Riding Hood saw the wolf. "What a cute little doggy," he said. "Doggy? Oh, that is nice." "Goodbye, doggy," Little Red Riding Hood said. "I'm going to visit my grandma." The wolf grinned wolfishly. Maybe he could still trick Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf raced to Grandma's cottage and knocked on the door. Grandma opened the door and the wolf gobbled her up. Bony but tasty. Quickly, he dressed in Grandma's clothes and jumped into her bed. Now for my brilliant trap. A minute later, there was another knock on the door. "Come in," the wolf said in a croaky voice. "I brought you some honey," said Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood looked closely. "Oh, Grandma," she said, "what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood came closer. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Oh, Grandma," Little Red Riding Hood said, "what big hairy hand you have!" "All the better to hug you with, my dear," said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood stepped back. "Oh, Grandma, what big teeth you have!" "All the better to eat you with," snarled the wolf. He sprang out of bed and gobbled up Little Red Riding Hood in one bite. The wolf lay back on the bed, my trap worked. He fell into a deep, happy sleep. In the forest, Little Red Riding Hood's father had finished work. He decided to go to Grandma's cottage and walk home with Little Red Riding Hood. There are wolves in this wood after all. He reached the cottage and looked through the window. There was the wolf, snoring. Has that greedy wolf eaten them both? The woodcutter boiled with fury. Then he had a brilliant plan of his own. He smashed open the cottage door, and he cut open the wolf's tummy. Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma tumbled out of the wolf. Are you all right? Now Grandma had a brilliant plan too. Chuckling to herself, she ran outside and collected lots of stones. Little Red Riding Hood tipped them into the wolf's tummy, and Grandma sewed the tummy up. The wolf woke up and saw what had happened. "Bother," he howled. "The stone rattled with each step. Now I'll never be able to sneak up on anyone." So the wolf went back to eating bugs and berries. Yuck, a beetle! And Little Red Riding Hood skipped all the way home. That's the end.